Yo, Backcourt Bytes fam. If you missed Friday night, don't worry. NBA basically handed us a five-course meal. Steph returns from injury, still loses. Donovan Mitchell goes full flamethrower. Embiid reminds everybody who he is. Ja comes back and gets his welcome party ruined. And Wemby's about to step into an NBA Cup cage match with the defending champ Thunder. Let's get right into it. First of all, we got my boy Steph Curry comes back, drops 39, and somehow Warriors still lose. How? I hate this about the Warriors. I'm a huge Warriors fan, but we always find a way to lose these games where he goes nuts. Quick refresher, Steph been out with a quad injury. You know how it goes. When he's gone, the Warriors look like somebody unplugged the Wi-Fi. So the return game, in your head, it's supposed to feel this good welcome back, chef. We get the dub. But Minnesota came in and said, cool story, but here's your L. Steph was vintage, relocation threes, deep pull-ups, that little night-night energy without even doing the gesture. He ends with 39. Golden State even won the math game from threes, 15 more points beyond the arc, and they still lose. Here's where it flips. The Wolves hit them with a 17-0 run in the fourth quarter. 17-0. That's not a run. You blink and you're down double digits. And the craziest part, Minnesota did this without Anthony Edwards and Mike Conley. So if you're a Wolves fan, you're thinking, wait, we can win a road-style grinder in San Francisco shorthanded? That's the kind of confidence that changes a season. Julius Randle led them, 27 points. Gobert went 24 and 14. DiVincenzo hit some late threes, like he remembered the last time he was in Chase Center. Now, the Warriors side, we were missing Draymond Green and Al Horford. So defensively, there's definitely holes in the defense, less communication, fewer rotation. And yes, Jimmy Butler and Quentin Post can hit shots, but when the game gets tight, everybody's still looking at Steph like, please save us. Here's my question. Are we, the Warriors, becoming a Steph performance equals competitive team again? Like, if he's not superhuman, are we just going to lose? Because that's not a title formula. That's a first round fireworks, second round funeral formula. And you already know the timeline. Half the NBA Twitter is like, Steph is still the best show in sports. And the other half is like, imagine dropping 39 and your team still loses. So, Warriors fans, what's the bigger issue right now? Defense without Draymond or Horford on the court, or the fact that the offense becomes Steph or bust in crunch times? Drop your take in the comments. For me, I've always hated how we have to rely on Steph so much. I mean, he is a superstar, but it'd be nice to have some supporting cast around him, or that performs consistently. I mean, we always have some supporting cast, but not on the offensive side. Speaking of superstar or bust, Donovan Mitchell looked at the Wizards and said, I'm going to win this game by myself, and went and scored 48. Let's talk about Cleveland. All right, where's Donovan Mitchell? There he is.
This is a team feeling zen. And these are the Dell PowerEdge servers that make them feel that.
You got to talk through those.
All right. Donovan Mitchell just dropped 48, and the Cavs still needed every single point because Cleveland was just dead in the water. And then the fourth quarter happened. If you're a casual fan, here's what matters. Washington had control late in the third. Like, we're about to close this out. They were up 17 third quarter, and at one point, it even hit 16 after a 14-2 run. So if you flipped away, you missed a thriller. Cleveland nuked the fourth quarter, 45-26, 45 points in a quarter. Mitchell hit 8 threes. 8. That's not a good shooting night. That's like the rim is the size of a hula hoop. And the sequence that matters, he ties the game with a clutch three late and then gives the Cavs the lead with a layup. And suddenly Washington is playing hot potato with the ball like it's cursed. But this wasn't only Mitchell. Evan Mobley had 23 and 13. Garland added 18. And that's the blueprint. This is what I was talking about with the Warriors. When Mitchell is on fire and the others just do their jobs, the Cavs become a real problem. Meanwhile, the Wizards, CJ McCollum, Bub Carrington, both had 27. Marvin Bagley went out and got 15 and 13. That's production, but the collapse in the fourth quarter is just going to overshadow all of that. I'm going to say something that's going to annoy people, but that Mitchell fourth quarter felt like those prime Dame nights where you know the defense is cooked and there's nothing you can do but pray. Or like 2016 when Kyrie gets into that rhythm and his dribble's just on a string. If Mitchell can bottle this up and carry this on in the playoffs, Cleveland's going to be a nightmare matchup. I'll go even farther. If Cleveland keeps getting two-way nights from Mobley and stable creation from Garland, we're going to be having a real Cavs are a top tier threat conversation by February, not just a fun team. Be honest. Does Mitchell get enough love as a top tier superstar, or do we still treat him like he's a tier below because he's not loud on social media? Let me know superstar or borderline in the comments and tell me why. And now, from one dude going nuclear to another superstar who's been polarizing the league for years, Joel Embiid. And Friday night, he looked like he came with receipts. Joel Embiid just put up a season high 39 points. It wasn't even smooth the whole time. It was one of those I'm figuring it out in real time games, and that's scary. Let's set the stage. Philly didn't even have Maxey out with the illness. So if you're Indiana, you're thinking, no, Maxey should be easy. He's been their superstar of late. Let's just load up on Embiid and make somebody else beat us. Instead, Embiid goes for 39. Paul George adds 23. Rookie VJ Edgecombe chips in 22. Just the next man up type basketball. In the highlight moment, Embiid hits a step back three at the first half buzzer. Big man moving like a guard. That's the kind of clip that gets reposted. Now, for Indiana, Siakam had 20, but the bigger headline is their slide continuing. And if you're a Pacers fan, you're asking, how do we keep getting into games and then the air leaves the building? Because Philly just pulled away late. You already know the Embiid discourse. Every time he has a huge night, some people are saying he's MVP. Some people are saying do it when it matters. That's why he's such a content magnet. Now, here's my opinion. The Sixers' ceiling is entirely tied to what version of Embiid shows up. If he's moving well enough to hit step-back threes and punish double teams, Philly can beat anybody, especially when Maxey's healthy. If he's grinding and settling, they're just a scary name you don't really feel. With Maxey back, if Embiid strings together a couple of these nights, Philly becomes a team nobody wants to see in 7 games. Not because they're perfect, but because their best version of themselves is pure chaos. Question for you guys in the comments. Are you buying Philly as a real contender, yes or no? And if no, what's the one thing you don't trust about their team? Now, speaking of returns and best version, Ja came back Friday night, and the basketball god said, cool, but here's Keontae George going to score his career high on you. Let's get right into that. Ja Morant returns after 10 games out, and the Jazz walk into Memphis and just crash the party. Keontae drops 39 and spoils the whole night. Ja missed 10 games with a calf strain. This was supposed to be another welcome back game. Franchise player, but Utah had other plans, and honestly, they needed it. They had lost 5 straight to Memphis before this game. Keontae George came in, career high night, 39 points. The man was in just green light mode the whole game. He hits a late 2-pointer and then free throws to shut the door. And he wasn't alone. Lauri Markkanen had 26. Kevin Love added 20. Huge shots from him. On the Memphis side, Ja put up 21 and 10 in his return. That's a solid line, but Memphis was missing Zach Edey with his ankle stress, and you could feel the lack of size in some key moments. The swing came when Memphis led by 12 in the third, and Utah went on a 25-7 run. That's the moment the game got ripped out of Memphis's hands. And this is where people go crazy because returns are emotional. Fans want Ja saves the day highlight reel, but instead, the clip that's trending is Keontae turning into just a superstar, and jokes start. Keontae said, welcome back, and then stole your lunch money. I'm planting a flag. Utah's young guys are going to ruin a lot of feel-good nights this season. They've got that we don't care about your storyline or your career energy. Grizzlies fans, was a bigger issue rust from Ja or the roster holes without Edey? And Jazz fans, are we looking at a real Keontae leap, or was this just a one-game heater? And now, the final course, because if you think Friday's returns are going to be spicy, Wemby's about to come back on a minutes restriction in the NBA Cup semifinal against the defending champs OKC. So yeah, let's get into that one for tonight's game. NBA Cup semifinals tonight. Victor Wembanyama is expected to return. The first thing on his menu is the defending champ Thunder. That's not just a normal welcome back game. Let's get the rust off. Wemby's been out 12 games with a calf strain. This is dangerous territory. A lot of people with calf injuries end up with Achilles injuries. The Spurs have gone 9-3 without him, so they've been doing fine. But now he's listed as probable. Head coach Mitch Johnson says he expects him to play just on a minutes restriction. First, let's be real. When a 7'4" alien who averages 26, 12, and 3.5 blocks comes back, Minutes restriction doesn't mean he's not going to contribute. Second, the stakes. This is the NBA Cup semifinal in Las Vegas, and the winner advances to the title game Tuesday against either the Knicks or the Magic. So it's not just a game. It's win, and you're playing for hardware and money. Now, the matchup against OKC, they're defending champs, so you know they're walking in like, we don't do these cute stories. We're just going to end them. OKC currently only has one loss, and Spurs fans are like, that's fine. We're about to make it 2. Here's the debate that's about to explode. If Wemby even looks 80%, does that instantly make San Antonio this scary one-game opponent in the league? Because in one game, rim protection and star shot creation can erase a lot of flaws. And the way that Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox and people have been playing with him out is just a huge boost as well. If the Spurs win, Wemby changed everything. OKC is vulnerable to bigs. NBA Cup is the Spurs' time. If the Spurs lose, then it's minutes restriction, rust. OKC is inevitable. Either way, it's going to be fine for the Spurs. Nobody really expects them to win. So, all right, I need you guys in the comments. Who wins tonight, Spurs or Thunder? And what's your bold prediction? Wemby over under 4 blocks in his limited minutes. Let's move on to gambling. All right, as far as gambling goes, plays of the day, we are 7-4 currently. Didn't love these plays the other day. Ended up missing. We moved to 7-5 on the season. Kevin Porter only made 1 3-pointer. Let's move on to today's play and see what we got. All right, we're currently running the script. It looks like it's going to be Paolo against New York, under 22.5 points. This is got about a 60% hit rate. Lock that in, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the play of the day. Let's look at the ladder. All right, so day 1, it's going to be SGA for 25, Stephon Castle for 10 points, 3 rebounds, and De'Aaron Fox with 12 points. I used the boost, got it at plus 136. Let's lock this in and move on to day 2. If you made it this far, you're officially part of the fam. I mean that with love. Please like, subscribe, drop which story you want to deep dive on. This is Backcourt Bytes. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.